following is a review by Keith Cheatham. Well, what can I say about the final DCU film before James Gunn's Great Reset? What was once one of the more anticipated DC releases, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, has finally arrived. Originally set to be released later this year, the sequel had been pushed back multiple times, and it seems now for many the anticipation has worn off. With Gunn's relaunch looming in the distance, Aquaman 2 is another victim of a string of films that no longer seem to matter in the DCU, and is way too little too late. Directed again by James Wan and starring Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, Arthur is now a father, a husband, and king of Atlantis. When Black Manta, played by the returning Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, finds a mysterious black trident and becomes possessed by the evil entity bent on ruling the world, Aquaman must now turn to his brother and former adversary, Orm, played by Patrick Wilson. What ensues is an odd couple-style road trip action-adventure as the two set out to stop Black Manta. Packed with CGI that's worse than the first film, awkwardly scripted moments meant to be humorous, and even Marvel's penchant of throwing in the abstract and bizarre because, hey, it's a comic book movie, and Aquaman 2 becomes sillier and even less grounded than the first. While it does attempt to build lore and its fundamental narrative frame isn't bad, most of what is presented on screen is done so poorly it pulls you out of any attempted world building. I found myself often in disbelief for how silly even the moments that were meant to be serious were. Outside of Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson, the acting from everyone involved, including Nicole Kidman, Amber Heard, and Abdul-Mateen II, are horrendous. Most of the cast, however, take a major backseat in this film, which may be for the better as a majority of the movie focuses on Momoa and Wilson, who were the only redeeming parts of the film anyway. Both do a good job of brotherly banter, though often the script's terrible writing and dialogue fails them. Even in their best moments, though, there's not much new to be seen, as the bickering brothers are reminiscent of Marvel's Thor and Loki, which the film itself pokes fun of. While not the worst actor in the film, Abdul-Mateen II, as its lead villain, was probably the worst, coming off as whiny and weak rather than menacing. While there are some decent moments to be found in the film revolving around the themes of family and leadership, they simply aren't enough to salvage the movie. With a plot heavily dependent on global warming tropes and lackluster character development for anyone other than Orm, there's no depth to enjoy. Some of the fights are decently choreographed, but even the big set pieces are mostly just CGI fests that don't impress. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is the final whimper of the larger universe initially started by Snyder, and ultimately fans of Snyder's continuity are left with nothing, and those hoping for a better DC at last are left with no reassurances. I give Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom 1.5 out of 4 stars.